Good evening. Thanks for tuning in to the Checkpoint. Hopefully, everyone has made it home safely from Drive Through Thursday. Tonight, Pastor Chris is joined by one of our very own, Courtney Bennett Spland. Courtney will join Pastor Chris and discuss mental health as it relates to COVID 19. As always, this discussion is led by you. So we would ask if you will, at this time, please submit your questions. While you are doing that, as a reminder, we would like to invite each and every one of you to join us this coming Saturday for Family Ties as we continue our series entitled Commitment. On Sunday, join us for Antioch Unplugged as Pastor Chris continues with his series titled To All Generations. And of course, if you feel as though you've missed out on anything and would like to get connected, go to our YouTube page. There you can view any past content on demand. So, without further ado, let's join Pastor Chris as he welcomes Courtney Bennett Spland.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Checkpoint. I'm so excited to just spend some time checking in with you, and I'm super excited to welcome my air quote guest for tonight. Uh, Courtney's not a guest; she's home, as most of our Checkpoint guests are. But this was special for me because this is my sister. We go back
Oh,
like a Cadillac on four flats.
yeah.
And I'm so excited to welcome my sister and friend and partner in ministry, Courtney. Thanks for coming through tonight.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Thank you so much for having me.
ooh, so professional on tonight.
Yes.
So listen, before we get into um, what it is you do, let's talk about why it is you do it. Like, why is what your passion? Why is this what you're so passionate about?
A good question. So I would say, Chris, that me, well, I'll say once I started college, right? I said, oh, I want to be a nurse. I want to, help people and, just aid them. But, about the time when I thought about, oh, this is a little too hard for me. I was like, well, this isn't going to work, so I need to find something else that is going to benefit me. But then I looked and I was like, well, you know what, when I was in the hospital, by the way, I am a burn survivor
We'll
if
get
you
to that in a
didn't
minute.
know.
We gonna talk about it on
Okay,
tonight.
okay, cool. So once I started, I was like, well, you know what? I was kind of mean to my nurses. I don't know if I want to be treated like that. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to do something that is going to benefit me and other people. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go into the field of why people think the way they think. Just because there's a lot of things where we look at a certain topic and we say, hey, this is what I think. But in actuality, we don't really think that until we research and know exactly what the meaning of it is
Mm-hmm.
before that, right? So that's kind of how I was like, well, let's stick with psych. So
Yeah.
I chose psychology for my bachelor's degree, and then I said, well, let's go further. So I got my certification in chemical dependency counseling, and then I went on and I said, well, let's do my master's degree, and I got it in family studies and therapy from the great
All
TWU.
right, represent. Whoop whoop. She was on some alumni thing before we came on air, so she's all hype
Yes,
about
I am
T Dub or
today.
what have you. So tell people it is exactly what you do.
So exactly what I do? I'm a crisis assessor. I am a counselor in the crisis field and setting. in the Collin County area. So we service everyone in Collin County. Basically, we talk to um, kids, adults, on the other side of adults, the elderly, where we call them geriatrics. And we just service those who are in need or in a crisis at that time. So whether we can, assess them for a higher level of care or just to figure out what their level of care should be, we go from what the crisis is at that time, and we just try to break it down. So I assess for SI, which is suicidal ideation, HI, which is homicidal ideation, and AVH, which is audio and visual hallucinations. So I assess all those grounds.
So I need y'all to hear when it gets rough, they call Courtney. That's basically what it boils down to. So
Yes.
Courtney gets the tough calls, the crisis calls.
Yes.
So let me ask this, because there's been a lot of conversation about it during COVID season.
Sure.
What have you seen those calls increase?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say, Chris, to be honest, it's because of people are isolating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those people who are either with families or not with family, who cannot have that sense of, oh, I want to come home to you. Let's say they were diagnosed with like having the coronavirus. They can't be around family. They call us. They're like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm seriously sitting in my room with a bottle of Xanax and a bottle of whatever spirit you would like for me to have.
Not the Holy
right?
Spirit.
I'm telling you. And then they'll tell me like, if you get off the phone with me, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So what am I stuck with? So
Right.
then I have to go in every procedure that I know. Like just as soon as a car accident hits, right? We all know call the police first, or during CPR, we all know go ask for help first. Well, in this instance, that's all I can do. I have to go through every
the
yes,
procedures
every
and the
level.
process.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so intrigued by the fact that, and you hit on it, that a lot of people during this season are realizing that isolation
Yes.
leads to a different form of emptiness or
Absolutely.
hopelessness,
Absolutely.
right? So what do you say to somebody who feels this hopelessness connected to isolation? Like, what do you say to somebody that might be watching that just may have stumbled on this, but is tired of being stuck in on their own?
So me loving God, loving Jesus, we know us as a community, us as worshipers, believers, we know that we're supposed to ultimately, pray and do, just go in the word and find a verse that's gonna help uplift us, right? But the people I see, they don't know
means
that.
nothing, yeah.
That means nothing to them. That doesn't bring them light right then. Like, how am I gonna pay this bill and I'm still praying? And I'm like, you just have to.
Yeah,
but at the
that's a
same
good
time, I'm
point.
like, well, how am I supposed to say that? And then that's not the reality to them. To me, it is.
That's a legitimate point,
To
sis.
a lot of people, it's not. So I still have to say, hey, I don't know if you're a believer, because in my line of work, we have to dot our T's and cross our, what is it? Dot
Dot
your
your
I's,
I.
cross your T's.
Pam Jr.
You have to do that. So ultimately, I have to, hey, are you a believer? If so, would you like for us to pray together? You can pray, like with my level of expertise, they would not allow us to do that for me to pray. But I will absolutely. It's just like somebody saying, oh, you want to go shopping with me today? Great. If that's your coping skill, we can do that.
Yeah.
But if your coping skill is to pray, I will sit there and do it with you. I sure will.
That's really
Yes.
cool to be able to be light, even in that what we'll call a secular environment. Just to be
exactly.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, because I go to several different workshops with my mom.
Shout out to
myself.
Sister
Shout
Pam.
out to
Shout
my
out to
mom.
Sister Pam. God bless you if you're
Right.
watching on tonight.
I go to different workshops because ultimately, my mom has been here. My brother, my dad, the Bennett family is godforsaken, amazing.
Her brother's behind the camera working the controls on
And I
tonight.
love him so much. He is great at what he does. So I have these workshops that we go to just to help me, right? So every time, like there's like a burn survivor group or something like that we get together for, there's a lady that's there, there's a man that's there that I feel like sometimes is worse off than me.
You know what? Because you actually bring up a good point right now, and this is important. And there are a lot of people who are watching. I think sometimes we focus so much on the person in crisis, right? That we don't necessarily focus on the people who have to walk through the crisis with the people. So if you're like the person that everybody in your family calls, one of the things that we've talked through before, and I asked you like, and you're getting into it now, right? Like, how do you cope with like what you have to handle carrying the weight? Because that's the other thing. I think the other side of the coin is the person who got to answer every call for their family. Everybody know they got that person that's kind of struggling or wrestling with it. And these are certain things that you do to cope with how I handle my own stuff, these workshops and stuff like that, right?
So I would say it takes time. It takes time. It takes friends, family. I could cry now. I won't. But it does. It just takes persistent time, right? Because I have my parents. You know, a lot of people don't have that or have lost that within, a couple of years or whatever. So, and in actuality, me and my mom, we go to these workshops for me because when I first started out, I was 17, right? Shoot, I had was on a dance team, was driving my car, was
big
doing
time.
I was big time.
Because we're going to go to that next. What happened when you were 17?
So I guess like it's just like knowing that I had to, I wouldn't say put on a happy face for people, but not feel the way they feel on the outside and the inside. So I don't want them to see that both of us are struggling.
Right.
I want them to see like, yes, I have to wear a mask. I'm out here
to help you get through your stuff. Yeah.
Yes, to help you. Just like y'all are out here doing, everything right now. Even with Drive Through Thursdays, y'all are wearing y'all's masks, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, glorifying God. Like, you have to put on that face because we're scared.
Yeah.
Everybody is scared right now.
Yeah, what's going on?
We don't know what's going on or what's next to happen.
But I think it's interesting for you to talk through the fact that we all kind of have to put on sometimes, right? But the necessity of it, I think you hit on it, having family, having friends, spending time with those people that help pull you out of those ruts or those feelings. I actually told somebody today, I'm learning more now than ever before how important that community is.
Absolutely.
So we all kind of have our people. We should all have our people, but we hadn't been able to gather as much as normal. And you realize how much you need that to just cope with life, right? Ultimately, we're all out here. I think you said it well. We're all out here trying to cope with life. Everybody's trying to navigate these COVID waters.
Exactly.
And what does that look like?
Exactly.
I think it's really interesting. You bring up some interesting points. I'm sitting over here thinking just about putting on the face, right? Smiling and laughing and trying to make sure people don't see your
exactly.
All right, I don't know what's next. I got to go home and deal with XYZ, right? But I still have to kind of put on. But the importance of having those small groups of people that you don't have to put on with.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like just having that sense of I can be myself.
Right.
I literally can be myself.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. Like even if I call, like somebody will pick up the phone. Some people don't have that where we call our friends and they don't pick up. Oh, well, okay, great. Guess you're not my friend anymore.
But you need them people. So you mentioned it, so I was going to wait till the end, but we here now.
Okay,
so whatever.
Okay, man.
So you talk about somebody going to cry in a minute. I don't know if it's me. I don't see Justin's face right now. There's a couple of people in the room.
There's probably a reason why you don't see his face.
So You talked about what happened when you were 17. Now we have two different perspectives of this because I remember this day almost like it was yesterday, which it kind of propelled, like you were just talking about, even with the groups and the support things that, because we're also going to get into, one of your other kind of personal passions about, encouraging others who've been through that story. We'll get into that later on. So tell us what happened.
Okay.
Tell us what happened. All right.
Oh,
Lord
my.
help us. Okay.
Okay. So, I know. Why do you do this? Okay. So I am in my second semester of senior year of high school, right? At the DeSoto.
Don't you start. Tell your story. Don't you start. Don't you start plexing.
All right.
Plex.
And first of all, I loved this soap opera, right? It was called Passions. And
your story.
That was my story. So me and I would call her my cousin because now we're deltas, we're sisters. And so me and one of my cousins were on the phone, and we were like, you know what? We're gonna watch Passions today. So I told her, okay, I'm gonna call you back. I'm gonna jump in the tub, get it together, cause Mama told me once I get home, I will take you. If the whole house is clean, I will take you to get your nails and your hair done right before school started, right? Cause it was right before school started. And so I go and first of all, I clean the house already. So I turn on this little aroma pot candle that Mama had all the time on the stove. Child didn't even realize how I turned it up, right? Didn't realize it at all. So I go to the back. I'm taking a bath, put my new pajamas on that Mama got me because, it was Christmas, just past Christmas. So I was going to be nice when she came home and told me she was going to take me. I was like, okay, great. So I had washed my hair because I was ready to get my hair done. So I get up there and I'm like, okay, cool. Now all my everything is new on me. So I come to the front. Mind you, the door is closed, ajar, right, to the kitchen. And our house is kind of like all the rooms are in the back. You come to the front. There's a living room, a dining room, and then there's a bar area that we walk through. And so the kitchen is right here, but it's further back. So I open the door, and I'm like, oh, that's a nap. Right? So I'm like, okay, well, I see all this. I see like fumes. Like I don't see fire, I just see fumes. So I go over to where like I put the aroma candle pot thing at, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, okay. So mind you, there's this whole like the stove is engulfed in flames, right? What do I do?
Oh.
So listen, I said, Mama told me she was gonna take me to get my hair done and my nails done. So no, I'm not. I will not mess up this day. So I grabbed, and you can see you won't be able to see my scar, but you can. So I grabbed the pot, right? And I took it over back here is like a sink, right? So I grab the pot off the stove and I go over to the sink, and all I see is, right? Just all, like, everywhere. And I'm like, oh, snap. This is not good. So I just left it there. And I'm rolling and rolling because, that's what they taught us in school, to roll and roll and roll. Now, let me tell you something, kids. That is not true. You have to find something and wrap yourself and then roll because you have to, like,
oh my!
Listen here.
Oh my! You got to be wrapped up in something. Oh
okay?
my! Okay.
Listen,
tell
you have to
story,
wrap
child.
yourself and then roll. So, mind you,
let me tell you something. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay professional. We be talking like this. Okay.
I completely I let myself out, right? Let myself out, and I called the ambulance or the firefighters, and I said, hey, my house is on fire. And the lady said, are you out of the house? And I was like, no, I put it out. And she was like, okay. but get out of the house because we don't know if you really put it. Like, if you really touched that, wherever that little thing was. So I said, okay. So I walk out the house, and our next door neighbor was outside checking the mail. So it had to be, what, about 1 something? And she said, and I said, I need help, right? No breath, nothing, just in shock. Now, mind you, once I put myself out, I was like, well, I'm cold. Cold, y'all, like freezing cold. So I run to my room. I get some more new pajamas. And I run back and I go outside and I say, I'm cold. And from what my mom and them told me, they were like, Miss Manning is her name. And she said, baby, Miss Manning couldn't even recognize you. She looked and she said, well, baby, do you want me to call your daddy? I said, yes, I called the police already, but they didn't, they're not here yet. So Miss Manning ended up calling the ambulance and my daddy and my mom, right? So they came and my parents weren't there yet. Only the ambulance came, took me in like I guess it's the ambulance truck they call it, cabin, whatever. And they take me to an open field right next to G-Cop. They take me to an open field, and then the care flight came and picked me up and shipped me on out to Parkland. Now, all I can remember I was cold, y'all. I was cold.
Y'all, I don't think y'all hearing this because this
I
is
was
really
cold.
crazy. So let's walk through the story, okay? Let's walk through the story, okay? Because I don't think y'all catching it because Courtney's funny and she's telling the story with humor. I need y'all to catch this.
Sorry.
No, be yourself. I just need y'all to catch this because ain't nobody shouting. Like I don't see the comments, but ain't nobody shouting.
Oh Lord.
So let me ask this. So when they got to Parkland and you figure out you're diagnosed, what are they saying?
Oh, baby, I done died 3 times.
Okay, so I need y'all to see this.
3.
So this is crazy. She's 17 years old. She, candle catches on fire. She's burnt up, but she had the wherewithal to call the police, to go put on some more clothes, to go outside, tell the neighbor she's okay, and recall all this. But by the time she gets to Parkland, they trying to figure out how are you alive and all this other stuff. Y'all not saying nothing to me in here. And every time I hear this story, I try not to lose it. Because my sister was like, for real. Like, she is a testimony of a survivor, right? And a lot of this fuels this passion for crisis and community, crisis counseling and community. But not only that, but encouraging people, right?
Absolutely.
Because one of the things that I know you've been through in this conversation, it just takes different turns, whatever. One of the things I think, and we've talked about this before, is just that self-esteem and insecurity. So wrestling with that. So talk about what it is that you do to inspire and encourage other people as they kind of battle through that.
Sure. So I, of course, created this. Well, I have a new business. So I created. It's called Brown, Burned, and Blessed. Right. And so basically what I'm doing is helping people who look like me, regardless of how much percentage you were burned. I was burned over 60% of my body with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th degree burns. So I don't care what your level was, whether it's 1st degree burns, even if you put some like a grease fire, like I don't care. And I am here just to kind of be an aid for you, just to say, hey, here's a support person. I go to support groups. I attend some online for now. And then I also host my own, and I try to keep people encouraged. And we find different things that kind of work for me that may not work for everybody else, or some things that can help and aid people that can kind of help everyone else. So kind of just to figure out how can we work together as burn survivors to feel like a community. Not saying like we can't be a community. It's just like we're kind of like boxed off, kind of. Because, there's like dolls, and I told you about this. This is exactly what I want. I need a doll. I want a doll of me, right? Being, a little burn doll. I do to help because it helps people. It helps kids know that that person is still a person. You don't need to stare at them, right?
Yeah.
Or like you hear people in the store, "Hey, mom, what happened to her?" And then the mom is like, "What happened to her?" And I'm like, "No, ma'am. You need to, like you don't say that too. Like you can politely say, "Hey, like my daughter was looking at you. What what happened? Or do you mind sharing your story?" And just kind of teaching people that that's how you approach it, because that doesn't help us feel any better, right? So yeah.
So my sister go like she gets burned. She's going through this entire, process of surgeries and the whole nine to save her life in high school.
What is that? 12? I think I'm on number 13 now.
Yeah.
13 surgeries.
And to go through all that, she graduates high school on time.
Woo!
Right? Like so in the middle of all this, she graduates high school on time. She goes to college. She graduates from college. She gets certifications. She gets her master's. She's helping people. She's doing crisis counseling and intervention. She's doing a billion other things, as it relates to her own business to encourage others.
Yes.
It is a beautiful story of how what you've gone through does not mean you don't have a story. Oh, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Don't have a story to tell, and your story can't encourage others. In fact, that's what we're supposed to do. So it's always really cool to hear you talk about some of the things that you do as you encourage other people and you step in crisis to help others
Right.
when those are the things that you've been through, I mean, in your own way. So it's really cool. So talk to me real quick about how your family kind of has helped encourage you and build you. And I say that because right now we're all kind of in close quarters.
Right.
And I think because of what happened to you, your family's amazing anyway. They've always been amazing. But it made them more conscious to, to make sure that y'all were walking through those things together.
Exactly.
And as families are together now we're seeing families say, well, I'm seeing some of those places where my kids carry insecurities or whatever, and I'm learning to speak into that. So tell me how your family kind of speaking into those things has helped and aided you where you are.
So I would say, like, my dad is my number one cheerleader, right? He is always on me. He's been on me. He says, look, I don't care. And I don't know if maybe it was just because my dad is from small town Arkansas, America. Praise the Lord. We love Arkansas.
Oh, yes.
But it might be because maybe he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but he ventured out. He said, no, like all my mom's siblings went to college. All my dad, my dad went to college. Their parents weren't able to do that, but they paid their ways through school. But my dad, he was like, no, you're going to do it. And you're gonna make sure that you master that. Like even my brother, my mom was like, because we had to pass the tax test, right? It was a tax test, toss test, that's star. I don't too many names, just get rid of it. So we had the tax test, and my mom was like, well, the homeschool teacher said that she didn't have to take it. We can go through the state and just say she doesn't need to take it. Let me tell you what my brother did. Oh, no. She gonna take the test, and she gonna pass the test, and then she's gonna graduate.
Right.
Like that was the number one thing. Like my brother saw faith in me. Like you're not gonna let anything that physically happened to you not lead you to do something else that you are great to do, to love to do. I can say this now. I hated my brother. But my brother's my best friend right now. My best friend.
Oh, Lord.
When I call him, he answers. And, like, I'm able to talk to him when I want. So, it's just amazing to have a brother that you can always count on. And, I mean, even if I had a bug in my house. And I got a whole husband, y'all.
And she lived far.
Even if I had a bug in my house, I would call my brother, and he would come.
Far.
Be quiet. I live in Collin County, Frisco, Texas. My
Woo, she out
brother,
there, y'all.
he cannot deal with it. He cannot deal that I live so far.
It's so far, so
But
far.
but I would say that having family,
We got to
having
fill up twice to
friends-
get out there.
Shut up. This gas real cheap now, so it'll help you. You can get out there on one token. You don't
A
need
sack
no.
lunch.
You don't need no sack lunch. So
Ooh,
to
going
me,
to see Courtney is an all-day trip, child.
y'all don't listen
Tell
to him.
Courtney Milton, y'all hop in the car, meet us
He
halfway.
does yeah, we're gonna meet in Addison or
That's
something.
halfway. It's Addison. Jeez. No, I'm sorry.
I would say having family, having friends to be able to say, "I love you. Don't worry about it." Because I know even like I call my brother, "Hey, bruh, I didn't pass the test again, right? Just like I called you, and just like I called Milton. He was like, so we failed all tests." And you get your behind back up and you do something about it because you've never you've come this far. You got more degrees than a whole bunch of people.
You ain't lying. I
You
said,
got-
Courtney, you in school again?
Because it's time. What a time to be alive.
B
That's what the
said,
psalmist say.
B said more degrees than a thermometer.
Be quiet.
We're having fun, guys. This is
Yes,
family talk.
yes. But I would say yes. Just the encouragement from my brother, my mom, my dad, my husband. Malik encourages me, y'all.
Malik, that's a boy. That's
Malik
a man
is
child.
that little 2-year-old potty training brat. I just love him so much. But yeah, they encourage me. They help me. They cry with me. My brother does it. He tells me, stop crying and go back and study. Stop crying and go do it. If you want this done, go do it. And I also, listen, I have this feelings journal, right? When I'm upset, I have this feelings journal. It says I'm fine crossed out because that's not really what we feel.
Right.
So I write in here all the time. And it just has different, like it has a table of contents that says table of feelings.
Mm.
And you go in here and you just write, I feel alive today. You draw and then you write.
That's
and it
cool.
helps me a lot. And this was by one of the ladies that was at one of the workshops. Her name's Miss Diane Jones, and
That's really
she's a
cool.
mental health counselor as well. So that just kind of helps me. And I plan a lot. So
That's really good
helps
too.
me.
Now that we done got back on this mental health kick for a few minutes, one of the things that I've learned really, I guess I started learning this in 2018. 2018. Some of y'all know my 2019 was rough, but it
yes.
started with 2018. 2018 was and it wasn't a roller coaster. It was just mostly down.
right.
But one of the things I learned from a season of just really battling some difficult and dark thoughts was I've learned that it's okay to not be okay.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And yeah,
That's
we
right.
all have to like put on a face sometimes, like you talked about earlier, to do what we have to do and get through the day. I've been open with it, you know, when we go sing and stuff like that. And I tell people like, there was a season in my life where I was serving and spiraling at the same time.
Exactly.
Like I'm getting up in front of people and telling people, you know, you can make it, and I'm going home and I'm laying on the couch in the dark room all week. And what I learned during that season is, yes, we have to put on a face to do what we got to do, but at the same time, as we wrestle with those emotions,
Exactly.
be honest with yourself about how you're feeling and learn to work through that and
Yes.
process that. So I think that journal is a really, really cool tool and good idea. And it's for everybody. Listen, y'all know there's a stigma that says we can't feel a certain type of way. You wrong if you feel like, nah, man, deal with your feelings, reach out for help. And that's what this is about. Now that you see, like when you reach out for help, a lot of the times what you're not seeing is you reaching out to real people with real stories for help.
Hello.
You know what I mean? So this is a beautiful idea that when you need help, when you're in crisis, the people that you call and reach out to got their own stories of perseverance, of coming through.
Yes.
And ultimately we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So yes, sis, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for driving 3 hours
You
just
know
to come
what?
sit
Just
with us
stop
from
it. Brandon,
so
can
far
you
away.
put this in the
From
comments?
Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma? Really? I
Listen,
need.
y'all not asking no questions, but I done got a couple messages that y'all are just like really enjoying. And somebody said, I like Courtney and her country
Oh.
spirit. She is entertaining.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Ain't that sweet? Look at you brightening the
Yeah.
people day.
I need to leave the crisis line number just
Please
in
do.
case.
Drop the number in the comments if you
Yes.
will, Pastor B.
1-877-422-5939. And you can also message me if you would like to anytime. It doesn't matter because we want to help those who are in crisis. We want to help those who are struggling. You don't have to be mentally struggling. You can be in any type of crisis, whether it just be this pandemic, monetary. Now, listen, I don't have no money, but we can help you to get there because the state got money, the government got money.
Get that number one more time.
The number is 1-877-422-5939. That's the crisis hotline number, and it services Denton County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Collin County.
So yeah, y'all make use of that, man. Reach out for help. People have resources that you might not know. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Hit me up. What you need, baby.
Listen, y'all ain't asking no questions, so we gonna go and call it, But listen, I'm so grateful that you tuned in, and hopefully you were encouraged to see that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, right? That on the other side, there's a testimony, and ultimately God's going to use what's happened to you to strengthen you, to help you to persevere, and then ultimately to encourage other people. Like I said, I love you, sis. I'm so proud of you. Thanks for coming on. And,
sure.
Shout out to a husband and a baby who's probably watching. My boy Milton and Rilo and Malik. But listen, I'll see y'all next week. Well, next week we got another episode of The Checkpoint. We're starting a new series on The Checkpoint that you're not going to want to miss. So you need to get your popcorn ready for the next 3 weeks of The Checkpoint. I ain't even going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you that for the next 3 weeks, y'all need to be really ready to tune in. Share this video. Again, that crisis hotline number is pinned there in the comments. And I'll see you again Saturday for Family Ties, and then Sunday for another time of corporate worship as we gather into Mother's Day, and we worship together and continue our series. Happy Mother's Day, early Mother's Day, sis.
Thank you.
But until next time, I love you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.